Number 1. The Lincoln-Kennedy assassination connection. Let's start with a doozy. Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860, John F. Kennedy in 1960. Both were elected exactly 100 years apart. Here's the creepy part. Both presidents were assassinated on a Friday by a Southerner and succeeded by a Southerner with the same last name, Johnson. Both were shot in the head, and both had a vice president named Johnson who assumed the presidency. Coincidence? You decide. Number 2. The Napoleon Bonaparte and Duke of Wellington duel. Moving on to a battle of egos, Napoleon Bonaparte and the Duke of Wellington, two legendary military commanders, were destined to meet. But did you know they actually had a near-miss years before their epic clash at Waterloo? In 1794, both Napoleon and Wellington were stationed in Toulon, France. They even dueled for a minor position, but neither was seriously injured. Talk about a dodged bullet, literally. Number 3. The apple almost fell on someone else. We all know the story of Isaac Newton and the falling apple that sparked the theory of gravity. But here's the twist. Turns out, the apple might not have fallen on Newton at all. Some historians believe it might have been another scientist, Robert Hooke, who witnessed the event. Did the apple really inspire the theory, or was Hooke robbed of his moment? The history books might be wrong. Number 4. The Titanic's deadly double. The sinking of the Titanic is one of history's greatest tragedies. But did you know there was another ship, the RMS Olympic, nearly identical to the Titanic, that collided with a warship just months before? Both ships suffered significant damage in their starboard sides, yet the Olympic managed to stay afloat. Spooky foreshadowing, or just a crazy coincidence? Number 5. The Twin Towers and the Pentagon. The September 11 attacks were a devastating tragedy. But did you know that the original design for the Pentagon included a 72-floor tower that was supposed to be taller than the Twin Towers? The tower was removed due to budget constraints. Imagine if it had been built, the impact of the attacks could have been even more devastating. Number 6. The Hindenburg disaster. The Hindenburg disaster was a live television spectacle that shocked the world. But did you know that the airship's hydrogen tanks were supposed to be filled with helium? Helium was a safer option, but it was more expensive. The decision to use hydrogen ultimately led to the tragic fire. Number 7. The Californian. The Californian was a ship that was nearby the Titanic on the night of the sinking. The Californian's crew claimed to have seen a distress signal from the Titanic, but they did nothing to help. However, recent evidence suggests that the Californian's radio operator was actually on duty and may have received the Titanic's distress call. If the Californian had responded, it could have potentially saved hundreds of lives. Number 8. The Russian roulette of World War III. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, the world came dangerously close to nuclear war. The US and Soviet Union were on the brink of conflict, and a single miscalculation could have led to a global catastrophe. It was a game of Russian roulette on a global scale, and the world was incredibly lucky to have avoided disaster. Number 9. In 2009, US Airways Flight 1549 made a miraculous emergency landing in the Hudson River after striking a flock of geese. All 155 people on board survived, making it one of the most successful emergency landings in aviation history. It was a true miracle and a testament to the skill and bravery of the pilots. Number 10. The Twin Towers and the World Trade Center complex. The original design for the World Trade Center complex included a third tower, known as Tower 3. However, the project was cancelled due to financial difficulties. If Tower 3 had been built, it could have potentially absorbed the impact of one of the planes on September 11. Number 11. The assassination of Martin Luther King. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. was a devastating blow to the civil rights movement. But did you know that King had actually received a death threat just days before he was killed? The threat was taken seriously, but the authorities were unable to prevent the tragedy. Number 12. The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings was a decisive moment in English history, but it was also a close call. The Norman army was outnumbered by the English forces, but they managed to win the battle through superior tactics and discipline. If the English had been victorious, the course of English history could have been very different. Number 13. The Miracle on Ice. The Miracle on Ice was a stunning upset victory by the US Olympic hockey team over the Soviet Union in 1980. It was a moment of national pride for the United States, and it helped to inspire a generation of young athletes. Number 14. The Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain was a crucial turning point in World War II. The British Royal Air Force fought bravely against the German Luftwaffe and ultimately managed to prevent a German invasion. If the Germans had been successful, the course of the war could have been very different. Number 15. The Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution was a seismic event that changed the course of world history. But did you know that the revolution was nearly derailed by a single incident? In 1917, a group of Bolshevik leaders were arrested, but they managed to escape and regain control of the revolution. Number 16. The Battle of Gettysburg. The Battle of Gettysburg was a turning point in the American Civil War. The Union Army defeated the Confederate Army, and it became clear that the Confederacy was unlikely to win the war. If the Confederacy had won the battle, the outcome of the war could have been very different. Number 17. The D-Day invasion. The D-Day invasion was a massive military operation that helped to liberate Europe from Nazi occupation. But did you know that the invasion was almost cancelled due to bad weather? If the invasion had been delayed, the Germans may have had more time to prepare their defenses. Number 18. The Apollo 13 mission. The Apollo 13 mission was a near disaster that tested the limits of human ingenuity. The spacecraft suffered a catastrophic explosion, and the crew was forced to improvise to survive. They were eventually rescued, and their story became a symbol of human resilience. Number 19. The Chernobyl disaster. The Chernobyl disaster was a nuclear accident that had devastating consequences for the surrounding region. It was a reminder of the dangers of nuclear technology, and it led to a global movement to promote nuclear safety. Number 20. The Great Plague of London. The Great Plague of London was a devastating epidemic that killed thousands of people. It was a time of great fear and uncertainty, and it led to many superstitious beliefs. Number 21. The Salem Witch Trials. The Salem Witch Trials were a series of trials in which people were accused of being witches. The trials resulted in the execution of several innocent people, and they became a symbol of the dangers of religious extremism. Number 22. The Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was a religious tribunal that was established to root out heresy. It was a brutal and oppressive institution that led to the torture and execution of thousands of people. Number 23. The French Revolution. The French Revolution was a violent and chaotic event that led to the overthrow of the monarchy. It was a time of great social and political upheaval, and it had a profound impact on European history. Number 24. The American Civil War. The American Civil War was a bloody and devastating conflict that divided the nation. It was a struggle over slavery and states' rights, and it resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Number 25. The World Wars. The World Wars were two global conflicts that had a profound impact on the 20th century. They were characterized by unprecedented violence and destruction, and they led to the rise of new world powers. Number 26. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 is widely considered to be the spark that ignited World War I. The assassination led to a chain of events that ultimately resulted in the outbreak of the war. Number 27. The sinking of the Lusitania. The sinking of the Lusitania a British passenger liner, by a German submarine in 1915, helped to turn public opinion in the United States against Germany. This event ultimately led to the United States entering World War I. Number 28. The Fall of the Berlin Wall. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked the end of the Cold War. This event symbolized the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe and the reunification of Germany. Number 29. The Battle of Hastings. Some historians believe that a comet that appeared in the sky shortly before the Battle of Hastings in 1066 was seen as a bad omen by the Anglo-Saxon army. This could have helped to demoralize the Anglo-Saxon forces and contributed to their defeat. Number 30. The Arab Spring. The Arab Spring, a series of pro-democracy protests that swept across the Middle East and North Africa in 2011, was fueled by social media. Social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter allowed protesters to organize and communicate with each other. Wow, these coincidences are mind-blowing, right? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Do these coincidences simply defy the odds, or is there something more at play? If you want to delve into the world of unsolved mysteries, click right. Or if you want to delve into the recent mysterious archaeological discoveries, then click left.